Coming up on today's episode.
I generally try and get my fee, so my clients are making money from day one and my fee is free. Doesn't always happen, but that is my aim.
I love that.
If you don't see the value, you're not going to do it. But also, a lot of people will go to Kmart, try on a $50 pair of pants 3 times and say, I'm not paying that much, but you'll go into a beautifully displayed home and spend $100,000 too much.
We do agonise more over clothes than we do property.
So we take out the emotion, I guess.
Dodgy advice and bad decisions can cost you big in real estate. We're here to make sure that that doesn't happen. Welcome to the No BS Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Agresta, and it's time to take control of your property journey together. Welcome back, everyone, to the No BS Real Estate Podcast, your listening how-to guide to the Aussie finance and real estate market. I'm your host, Joe Agresta. Now, on today's episode, if you're thinking about buying in Cairns, whether you're an investor, an upgrader, or a first-time buyer, this episode is a must listen. We'll be diving into what's really happening in the Cairns market right now, the differences in buying up north, and how to approach property with a strategy-led mindset instead of relying on guesswork. And joining me is someone who's built a loyal client base up north and is growing fast. Cam Tyers, founder of The Way Property Investments. Cam, thank you for being on the show.
Joe, thank you for having me. Really excited to be here for today's episode.
It's going to be so good. I've been so keen to have you on. Ever since we caught up, I feel like we're going to be the type that we're going to have to time control how much we talk.
I hope so, yeah. Come down from Cairns, hang out in Melbourne. The weather is blistering, but and it's beautiful at home at the moment. So
I'm so sorry we dragged you out of your board shorts and thongs to come to this shit show.
I'm loving it.
And I value that so much. Like, thank you so much for making the trip down here. And I think it just makes a cool vibe. And I love connecting with people from different parts of Australia, you know, because you see something that's different. And that's what I'm excited for our listeners to hear today.
Yeah.
So let's give you a bit of background. So you're a buyer's agent with a strong following and you've got fantastic Google reviews. Cam's built a process that's all about education, support and results. And this is a fantastic one. Let's start like any journey, because when we met, what stood out to me is you were a nurse first. Like property wasn't the very beginning stage for you. So working in healthcare, how did you come from healthcare to real estate?
Yeah, well, I've been an emergency nurse the last 15 years and worked in Australia, all around Australia. I've worked overseas. I've had amazing opportunities to volunteer overseas in India, Pakistan, Ethiopia.
Oh, wow.
So it's great. I've also been able to work in like Dubai in big trauma centres there. So I've seen it all. Well, not all. You never see everything in an emergency department. And I guess my property investing journey started when I was in Adelaide.
Right.
I was a grad nurse there and, you know, my brother told me about this market to get into and I was like, okay, so I'll get into the property market and had really good first home buyers opportunities back then. This was in 2014. And so I bought my first home and then travelled a bit and then moved to the Gold Coast and worked there for a little while. And bought a few more into my portfolio then, so one in Gold Coast and one in Ipswich. And all was strategy planned. And then continuing on my nursing journey, started travel nursing during COVID.
Good on you.
Yeah, so that was good for 3 years and everyone wanted a healthcare worker then.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
It was great opportunities and started to earn some really good cash, which helped me boost to buy in seafood in Melbourne.
Oh, wow, that's near my
Another strategy. Yeah, another part of my strategy to help build wealth through property. So
I really love that, you know, because it's such a personal journey. So you really, because you've seen it on a different lens, you know, a lot of like, nothing wrong with it, but like a lot of professionals are either brought up in the industry or they've been in it since they were like 18. But what I liked about your journey, it's relatable. You know, you've been in that position that a lot of these first-time buyers, first-time investors are in right now. Like for those listening, they're probably nurses and they're those, you know, healthcare workers going, I didn't think this would be an opportunity for me, but now Cam's saying this is exactly how he did it. So I'm so excited to unpack all of this in today's episode. And what made you decide to start The Way Property Investments? Like, what was the turning point, or was there an event that happened that pushed you to take that leap out of healthcare and into property?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few reasons, to be honest with you. So healthcare is a great industry, but it's tiring and it's a lot of hours. There's rewards, but, you know, they're getting less. And I guess burnout's a massive thing in the industry. And I have a passion for property. I love the buying process from when you start thinking about it, you're scrolling through and then you think, I should talk to the mortgage broker, see how much I can borrow. Funny story, I went to Adelaide and thinking I can borrow all this money, looking around all weekend at these properties. And then on Monday, he's like, oh, nah, mate, sorry. But yeah, it's a learning experience. Look, honestly, that was a great thing. And instead of looking in one market, it gave me opportunity to look in another market. And if I compare them, I'm doing a lot better off.
Yeah.
But I love that process. And this is what I like to teach my clients, is that it's a journey. You know, it's not just, I want to buy that, let's go do it. You've got a process to follow. I follow a process and make sure that it's done properly. So from your due diligence to your negotiating to your wants and haves, and, you know, not all in that order.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a process. It's great.
I love your positive outlook on it, because a lot of the time, you know, we talk about how stressful property buying is and stress. And you have such a refreshing outlook to say, I get so excited when I start this journey and I just want to help someone feel that same level of excitement, which is really nice to hear. So I'm sure all of our first home buyers at the moment are going, yes. Okay, what else?
And anyone can do it.
That's amazing.
You know, I was a nurse and, you know, we're not paid poorly, but we're not surgeons either, or lawyers, but, you know, anyone can do it. And it's just doing it right. And having a buyer's agent on your side who works for you. Yeah. It's got your back. That's the best way, I believe.
I think, and it's becoming more popular now, right? Like if we go back to 2021, the market, there was only 1% of the market that used a buyer's advocate to purchase a property. Whereas fast forward to now, we're creeping into that 5-6%.
Absolutely.
Which is so cool to me, because we're kind of in the space that mortgage brokers were in about 15, 20 years ago, where everyone went to the bank and then no one used a broker. And now you look at the market landscape, it's like 85% use a broker.
Absolutely. So, yeah. And this is what I tell a lot of people, is that in the US, you know, 85, 90% of people transact through a buyer's agent.
Yep.
Their system is different to ours. However, I feel like that we do it properly in Australia. You know, the seller pays for both. They work it out after the transaction, whereas we are completely separate in Australia.
And the benefit, right, is that you're able to totally represent a buyer in that case, because you're not motivated in any way, shape or form from the real estate side, in the sense of selling, you know, the asset itself. And when you're not tied to that transaction, having a buyer's advocate like someone like yourself, Cam, is a weapon in this market, because you've got a professional who's bought hundreds of properties, you know, over the years, versus you buying one property every 7 years. Or maybe one investment every 12 to 18 months. Yeah. It's a very different approach.
And that's what I talk to the clients about, is I said, look, you know, I understand that you've done a lot of work coming in, and a lot of the clients that I talk to say, I've been looking for 6 to 12 months and I just can't find anything, or I keep getting outbidded and they're just a mess. And I said, look, I understand totally. And I said, but a big part of my job is building those relationships with the real estate agents, so that when we do come to buying properties off them, they know me. I know them. I'm not buying one property off them. I'm going to be over the years buying multiple properties.
It makes a big difference, doesn't it? Because you've built the rapport with the person, like in your local area, in particular Cairns area, like you've built that rapport and relationship with an agent, and the power that exists when you have that relationship and you can call a trusted real estate agent, you can close transactions very quickly. You can get access to off-market listings quickly. Like there's so many perks that come with advocacy, not just the fact that someone represents you, but also access to stock that you possibly would never know about.
Yes.
You know, I want to go into a market insights, Cam, because when I get someone from interstate, you know, we talk a lot about Melbourne and Victoria and what this market's doing, and a bit about Sydney, but you're from Cairns, and this is going to be my first one with Cairns, and I'm very keen. I'm going to say Cairns one more time. How many times can I say Cairns? So
Cairns.
Exactly. Now, let's get into the market side, because like I said, Cairns feels like a bit of a mystery. So what's going on up in Cairns at the moment, and what's the real estate landscape like?
It's like a lot of places. Look, there is short supply, lots of demand. There is around 300 real estate agents in Cairns, and they're all fighting for listings.
Yep. Okay.
So the competition is rife. But with Cairns, there's two markets essentially.
Yeah.
You've got the Northern Beaches side, and then you've got the southern side where you got your Edmontons and Mount Sheridan. So with the Northern Beaches side, we're a bit like the Gold Coast. We can't build anymore. We're sort of a bit done. We've got all the land is all sort of bought and built on. We've got a few commercial properties going up like around Smithfield and that, but the government is looking at areas to build, but they're not ideal. Then you go to southern Cairns, you've got that southern corridor like Edmonton, Bentley Park, Mount Sheridan, and it's booming. Like
Really?
it's sort of like your infrastructure is coming along quite rapidly. You've got new roads, the Bruce Highway, you've got lots of healthcare facilities being built, urgent care centres not long being built down there, and there's a lot of land down there. Lots of developers coming in.
So it's like that actual development is actually quite, important, especially for long-term value. So if they're developing that area, and then the Northern Beaches side, I think is the one you said is getting less development and attention, it's like it's all done now.
Yes.
Whereas in the past, Northern Beaches was the place to invest.
And there's still good growth there.
Of course.
Still, don't get me wrong, there's still around 10%, which is really great growth, and the vacancy rates are low as well, but not as good. There's a lot of holiday making sort of areas like your Trinity Beaches, Palm Coves, and a lot of holiday lets out there, which,
Makes sense.
If you're investing, it's not a bad market to be into.
Oh, that's interesting. And I think, we've kind of talked a little bit about specific suburbs, but is there a certain like property type or suburb that you've been watching closely that you've taken a liking to and you want to give us a bit of an insight on?
There is. I recently purchased one in Parramatta Park. Talking about supply and demand, there is not much supply in there. There is 800 units in Parramatta Park. Last weekend, there was 2 for sale.
That's low.
2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, or 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom. There's not much around. I was able to purchase about a month ago, 2 bed, 2 baths and 2 car in a small little complex of only 5 townhouses. Very neat, very low body corp, which is another bit of a rare thing to happen in Cairns, just the insurances over previous weather events. I was able to get the deal done, but there is very low supply. But the thing is with your 2-bedroom units or townhouses, the last 12 months of growth is 27%.
Really?
Yeah.
Right up there in Cairns.
Parramatta Park.
Jeez.
Parramatta Park's quite close to the city. In like every suburb, there's things that happen in some parts of the suburb, markets within markets. There's nice parts of Parramatta Park. There's not so nice parts, but this was in a very well presented street.
Yeah.
It's a great area. I like Parramatta Park. When you're going down south, I really like for investing and living is your Edmontons and your Bentley Parks, and I really like Mount Sheridan. Lots of infrastructure going in there. Great investment opportunities, great growth, and great rental yield as well.
That's thank you so much for those insights, because like I said, I don't often I haven't actually purchased in Cairns myself, like for myself or any clients in the past. I've always dealt in the Victorian market. So for those ones, for the guys that are tuning in, from our FNQ area, now you got a really decent update and something to go by, or at least open up to Cam about what you want to do next. Because one of my last questions about, what's really happening in Cairns is, what do people need to be aware of when buying in a regional area like Cairns, like especially if they're based in Brisbane, Sydney or Melbourne, because I feel like it's slightly different.
It is different.
What do people need to be aware of when buying in regional areas like Cairns, especially if they're based in Brisbane, Sydney or Melbourne?
It's a unique market. It's a unique market compared to, and it's a regional. So we're a lot based on infrastructure. You're going to get, say, some high rental yield as well, as I mentioned, like your Mount Sheridans and all that sort of stuff, but it is competitive.
Yeah, that's
you really want to watch out for your insurance costs and your strata fees, because they will be a bit higher. And with your strategy, you want to factor those in to make sure that your purchase is worthwhile.
Yep.
And when it comes to your due diligence, you really want to make sure that you're looking at your flood zones. That's my biggest point there when I'm looking for clients. And also social housing, many areas in Australia. Social housing is definitely a big factor that I look into when I'm looking at purchasing in regional areas, as well as Cairns, obviously.
Yeah, of course. And I think that's something, the insurance factor is important here, because, there's a lot of natural disaster, especially when you're that far up. Like, we get less of it in Victoria. We do have the flooding and that kind of stuff happen in certain areas, but the insurance costs don't compare. So to give you context, I worked at RACV for a portion of my time, and we dealt with a lot of claims and insurance policies that can get up to the $10,000 mark, depending on how far up north they are, and how close to the water they are, and all these, previous claims history that has happened in the areas. When you called that out, I thought, 100%, that's a big factor, especially in that regional zone.
And one thing I'm personally going through, which is really hard, is the strata. I think that you would really want to look at as a complex, and it's not something you really can do individually, but making sure you have a local strata.
Right.
I would recommend a local strata, not someone that's, you're in Cairns and strata companies based in Sunshine Coast or Gold Coast, and they don't have a clear overview of what's happening.
Yeah, because that's part of where your policy sits for your building insurance. So it's, if they're not getting the right coverage or they don't get it, that's a really good point. I like that. So no, thank you for sharing those insights. It's so interesting to hear what's going on up north. And I love this because our listeners are really going to get into, we've painted a bit of a picture now and you've painted a good one. So if they wanted to get any questions or information, I'm sure they'll get in touch. And I want to get into, we've started to touch on this side of working with a buyer's agent like yourself. So for people who haven't worked with a BA before, especially in these regional areas, I think it's worth breaking down, what that experience actually looks like. But before we get into the process, you started your own business, right? So you've started the Way Property Investments. And I have to ask, why did you call it the Way? I love to know the name behind that, like the meaning behind the brand.
Yeah, well, a few years ago now, I did a big walk across northern Spain called the Camino de Santiago.
Wow.
Yeah, around 800 Ks from southern France, Saint-Gilles to Santiago. And it took me about 35 days. It was on the bucket list. And yeah, to me, it was a journey, I broke it up into threes. It was like the first third was physically tough, like I prepared, but nothing for the first day. Second bit was mentally tough. But then the last bit was like a holiday. And so I'm looking at that. This is a bit like your property journey as well. Not so much physically tough, but it's, it can be mentally draining, especially if you're doing it for a long period of time. You're looking for 6 months, keep getting knocked back. And then, you're getting in, but then you got that holiday at the end when you get those keys. I mean, how exciting. So there's a journey in that. And for me, the Way Property Investments came about because the Camino, there's a movie called The Way. So I like to take people on the journey like I did with the Camino and help them buy in the property.
What a beautiful story and how motivational. Like, that's inspiring. Like, you'd be lucky to get me walking to the fridge. 35 days.
Bar fridge.
Yeah, a bar fridge. Maybe not even then, has to be a tall fridge so I don't have to bend down. But no, that's seriously inspirational and I love the meaning behind that. That's awesome because it is such a journey. Like when you're going, whether it's owner occupancy or investment, far out, it is a journey. And when you don't have, I guess, a shaman or someone guiding you like a buyer's agent, it can feel very lonely, very daunting. And like you said, 6 to 9 months is the average for a home buyer. And it shouldn't be because it's like the support's right there.
Yeah.
So, and when someone engages you, whether they're local or interstate, right? What does the process typically look like? So what can someone expect if they, are listening to this episode and they're like, all right, calling Cam, where do we start? What do we do?
Well, generally I do like a 15-minute quick call. And it's just a discussion about I can't help everyone and I want to make sure that I can help you so that when we go in to put offers in down the track, we're on track. So I want to make sure that you're ready. So I'm going to qualify you. The first call's not all about you, actually.
Oh, interesting.
It's about if I can help you. I want to know where you can buy, what kind of property do you want? Do you want your investment? Do you want your own place or commercial or property development? I'm not in the commercial space yet, and that's a big yet. And also, I want to know if your finances are ready. If you've got the mortgage broker and if you're ready to go, how much your budget is, and who else are you buying with? Is it just yourself or is it you and your partner? You're buying for your kids? And then I've got a bit of an idea of what I'm looking for and if I can help you. So once we've ticked that box, we'll catch up again and I'll get you to fill out a client profile form. And that also gives me a bit more of an in-depth of what we've just gone through. But then I know what we're looking at. And then we'll go to the next stage of the strategy. So whether you're an investor, what kind of investment are you looking for? Look, people can have 13 properties and that's great. Like, well done. But what is your North Star? That's what I've always wanted to know is what my North Star was. And I essentially worked back from that. Yep. So I know I wanted to have this many properties to make this when I retire. So that when I retire, I'm financially free and, my family will benefit from that too, my nieces and nephews. So we'll nut down that strategy and then we'll onboard you with a legal process, which is very just keeping us both safe. and then we'll go on the hunt. If we're investing, we're going to look at suburbs within Australia. Whereabouts are the best place for your strategy? Could be a long-term strategy. It could be a short strategy, whether or not you're wanting to buy a house to make some money to pay off your mortgage, or you want to go for a holiday, or you're wanting to create long-term wealth. Once we've got those suburbs that we think is great, we'll talk about it, and then we'll go on the hunt for the right property. We'll do the property, we'll choose that property, we'll put in the offers for you, we'll negotiate, we'll do all the due diligence to make sure that this is the right property. We'll do walkthroughs and all that sort of jazz, and then we'll put the offer in. If accepted, we'll then guide you all the way through to settlement, getting the keys, and happy days.
It's so nice to hear, especially that, the first call is not about you, but it's about the strategy and getting all those foundational things right about the purchase, because you talk a lot about strategy, right? When we met up in our pre-podcast interview, that was one of the things we talked about, that there's different ways to purchase. Like when we're looking at owner-occupiers or we're looking at investors, there's a different way to go about the purchase. And that's your skill set. You're able to adapt based on what that person wants. So it sounds very guided, very custom. Let's get into that difference of, if I'm an investor wanting to purchase with you, what are some of the things, like the strategies, I guess, or the approach you take with an investor versus an owner-occupier?
Yeah. So when you're investing, it's about the property, but it's more about the wealth or what you're going to create from that property. When you're an owner-occupier, you're wanting your dream home. But with an investor, if you've got pink walls and, bright blue carpet, that's not good, but it doesn't matter so much. If it's got strong bones, it's going to make good capital gains, you got good rental yields, low vacancy rates, that's good. If you're an owner-occupier, you got pink carpet, blue walls, whatever way we're going around, that's not going to be really ideal, is it?
No.
If you want a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom with a pool, well then, great, let's do that. So, it's more about what you want when you're owner-occupier, to make sure that it's your home and you're happy. Instead, whereas investors, it's about creating wealth. Don't get me wrong. When we're investing, we are looking at the impact of what it would be for your tenants.
Right.
Because we also want them to be close to schools. We want to be close to hospitals, public transport, all that jazz. So it's going to help create more people, and you're going to have lower vacancy rates for your property initially, essentially. So, but it's location based, whereas it's, when you've got your own place and what you're more helpful for.
Yeah, of course, because it's more emotional. When you're buying for yourself, it's such a personal thing. It's the next home you're going to live in, and it's usually a milestone event, like whether it's a marriage or, children, or upgrading, downsizing, retirement. There's so many different life stages. And I think what's really cool about working with someone like yourself is that it's totally guided. Like, you could look at the long-term strategy for that property. It doesn't just mean, you want it for today and then you're happy. It's like, are you going to keep it for 7 years? And then what do you want to do in 7 years? Do you want to sell it, or do you want to keep it and rent it out?
That's right.
And is that stuff that you kind of go through with your clients as well?
Yeah, for sure. And I do get a lot of clients saying to me, I want to be an investor, but I want to live in it first, or I want to invest it first and then live in it. And it gets to that point where there are two different sort of factors that we're looking at. We have to sort of kind of pick one in the end.
Right. That was going to be a follow-up question of mine, is how do you make that distinction? So you just kind of have to pick a pathway that makes the most sense.
Yeah. And because it's sort of, I like this property, but it's not going to make me great rental yields and such and such. And in Cairns, there's both options for both.
Yeah.
But the most perfect property isn't always the best one to live in, and vice versa.
No, true.
So I think something to touch base on is that with buyer's agents, we help with the emotions.
Yeah,
we can help take that emotion out and guide you to make sure that you're making the right choice. And we give back your time.
And a lot of time, because this is a full-time job, you're doing this day in, day out. That's while someone's gone to work, had a whole day of work, maybe they're a teacher, they're a nurse, whatever it is. You had a full day of work. Imagine that there's like a body double of you, but they know the market.
That's right, yeah. And exactly. And I had this lady that I had bought for in Parramatta Park. Like, I'm a nurse. She was a vet nurse. She had no time. I thought I worked hard. Wow. She was worked really hard and just no time there. And so I was able to help her. I got everything that she wanted in her client profile after the client briefing, and I'd sent that out to all the real estate agents to off markets and stuff, and they sent them to me. And I was able to get her this beautiful place in Parramatta Park in a quick amount of time. So
And this is,
Right.
it's like one of the many perks of working with you, that you do have because you've made the time to build that rapport with the community. You're then, you can move like transactions quickly if you want to, depending on like the buyer's circumstance, if that's what they want. It's such a benefit. So good on you for, building that community aspect and building those relationships with the professionals, because it all helps. Like I think a lot of the time people think buyer's agents are against real estate agents, or they're the agent's worst nightmare. Do you find that that's complete opposite?
Look, not all real estate agents like buyer's agents.
Yeah.
But I do tell a lot of people we're like AI.
Okay, tell me, open it up. All right, tell me.
So we're new.
Yeah.
Although I found out AI started back in 1956. So we're a new concept. Buyer's agents is a new concept. We're a blue ocean market, but we're not going anywhere. We're here to stay.
Yeah.
We're here to help people. My key with the real estate agents is either we can jump on board and work together. And look, I'm going to be honest, I think 95% of real estate agents do like buyer's agents. But we're going to keep moving forward. We're going to grow. We're going to be bigger. Yeah. And it's going to be great.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Yeah. And I think one of the questions that I think is really important here is, how do you help clients balance the emotional stuff? Like we talked about, we touched on this before. I'm an owner-occupier. I want to buy the house with the beautiful pool. I want street appeal, but it has to have space for my dog. All these things that come into buying your own property because you visualize living in it. How do you help clients balance the emotional stuff and what's actually financially smart?
That's right. And it's, as I said, markets within markets, but it's big on the client brief.
Yeah.
Doing the sitting down with the client and really working out what they want. When it does come to investing though, like you look at things like pools and solar and people think, oh yeah, I'm going to make so much money by putting a pool in. Well, if you've got that as a rental, you're not.
Yeah.
I don't think your tenants are going to be looking after that pool. And your solar, generally doesn't always make you money as a capital gain.
Yeah.
So there's those factors. But when it comes to your owner occupiers and stuff, it's an emotional thing. It's very emotional. And I had some clients that I got to do a FaceTime thing yesterday with to say that, we've just got your property. That's what makes me it was just one of those moments. I think being a nurse can help. I don't know. We have that way of talking, I guess, and, we listen. Listening is a big factor. And we want to know what your needs and wants are. Oh. So that's what we really go into. We do a bit of a must-haves, non-negotiables to make sure that we are really finding that property for you.
I think that's beautiful. That you bring that experience, like those transferable skills, like you have had to do a lot in the nursing industry with, it's all people, right? And healthcare and people that are vulnerable. And and I think you said this to me when we met up in the pre-interview, like it's it's the same thing, like home buyers being vulnerable and exposed to, I don't know what I'm doing. You get an opportunity to stand up. And then when you make that phone call you made yesterday, what a great feeling, just to say, we did it. You got something.
And this was their second property that they had bought because the first one had fallen through. They were on an emotional roller coaster and they were sending me properties all the time. I'm like, look, I can understand where you're coming from, but I've had to say to them, look, I'm not buying this property because it's in a flood zone.
Yeah, right.
So they were very emotional about it. They're still emotional because they can't believe it's happening, but they've actually got it. And this was a big one. This was 80 walkthroughs in this property.
Oh my
There was
God.
11 offers and it was our terms and conditions that got us over the line.
See, and this is what we've said on this show so many times. It's not just about coming in and saying, here's my trump card of 20 grand more. Don't do that. That's not the option. You got to understand what the vendor's motivation is and then set your terms properly. That could win you the property. Absolutely. And you've saved yourself 20 grand from a trump card. Why go down the pathway,
Absolutely.
And, I want to get into the strategy side. We're talking a little bit about this, but you're big on making the numbers stack up, right, in investment. Let's talk about what buying strategically actually looks like in practice. So what are some of the key pillars that you focus on when helping a client choose the right property type?
Our main factors are your capital growth.
Okay. Yep.
So we've got your capital growth and what suburb is that for your budget.
Okay.
So we want, and again, how long are you wanting to invest and how long you want to make money for?
Yep.
Because everyone's at a different stage in their life. everyone's got a different story. So, if you've got a budget of say 400,000 or 500,000, we're not going to be buying in places that, a median to get into is 600-700.
Yeah.
So it's about that. We look at your hot spots, but we don't want to get in when they're hot. We want to get in them before they're hot. With the buyer's agents, we're lucky enough to have some data platforms that we use, and that is an amazing asset for us. And that allows us to look at the hotspot areas within Australia. It allows us to look at where the high capital growth is going to be. And we don't just look at the last 12 months. We're looking at an overall average over the last 25, 30 years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We also want to look at your rental yields and your vacancy rates, because we try and aim at 4 to 6%. Which is decent. If it's higher, that's great. But we want to look at other factors.
Yeah.
If you've got a vacancy rate of 3, what's the point? It could sit vacant for ages. But if you're investing in places like Warree or Mount Sheridan, 0.1, that sort of tells me there is no properties that are sitting there at all.
It's like the turnaround's quick, the days on market's very, very short for rentals.
Yep. And so, we're looking at your affordability scores and all that sort of stuff for every suburb. So we'll nut down that to your strategy, to your price point and your affordability scores. And, then it gets down to your social housing. We don't want to be buying in low socio-economic areas that your property could get damaged all the time.
Yeah, of course.
It's just costing you money instead of making you money.
And that's a big concern too. It's, you don't want something to cost you more money in the long run. And it makes so much sense to me, the way you've explained that strategy and that approach. It's like a balancing act. It's like the minute you put something on the scales and it tips too far down, you got to look at the other side and go, okay, well, vacancy rate's good, but yes.
And we put an offer in, and I know there was other buyers agents looking for their investors as well. And, they were looking at offers over, was it 599? And, we got this house valued at 524. Owner occupiers are rampant over there as well. And it ended up going for 680. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was huge. But I was like, I would not be putting an offer in like that. I mean, it's going to take you a couple of years at least of sitting there before you made your money. I mean, that's got 18% growth there.
Yeah.
I love Toowoomba. It's got amazing infrastructure coming in with the inland rail. You've got the hospital. Hospital's always a great place if they're building new hospitals like Melton, Bundaberg. True. So you've got all the people coming in to build the hospital, but then you need all the workers at the hospital once it's done. And then, the equestrian.
Oh, yeah, of course.
2032. So all this is happening. It's going to be at least another 10 years, I think, of good, steady growth. And so a great place to buy.
That's amazing. And this, it validates even further, that approach of why you could engage, someone like yourself, because you're able to think of all these factors. I think a regular homeowner or investor tries to think of as many factors, but they also then need to pay for access for all the data. You've got access to all the data providers, you can get information far and wide. That's another edge that you have over when you go against another homeowner that's making an offer.
The thing with this particular client was, we got knocked back.
Yeah.
And the question was getting back to the property type. So he was like, oh, it's a bit old, Cameron, and all this stuff. And I said to him, look, we're buying a property, but we're not buying a property, we're buying an investment.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So we looked at the resale of properties, and the most common resale was 3-bedroom, not 4-bedroom. He was hoping if we could get 4-bedroom, brick house, sort of newish. And I'm like, that would be great, but we can get that in Mackay. Yeah. But you're looking at a 9% less growth in the last 12 months. So I'm not sure if we still want to buy that property or we want to buy the wealth.
Right. So this is a key thing for our listeners. Talking directly to you guys, this is why you engage someone like Cam. This is the pure facts of someone who understands the market and the knowledge and can tell you these types of behind the scenes content that you didn't know about. Super important. And I love the way you put it. No, so I guess one of the other things that, I want to go into is the internet. okay? We're full of people that love to talk about their woes online. So we've got a couple of things here. I like to call this myth busting. So we're going to bust some myths today. Now, if we turn to the internet, because these forums are full of hot takes when it comes to buyer's agents, right? These are real comments from Reddit and Property Chat as a forum, because we stalk them and have a look and go, oh, we're not doing that. We answer the question. So I would really love your no BS response to each one of these. So let's get into it. I've got the first one here. So this is someone from Reddit. I thought a buyer's agent was a waste of money. I didn't use one for my first property. I thought it wasn't worth the cost. How do you respond to that?
So I guess, you can look at it many ways. So it's not the cost, he doesn't see the value.
Interesting.
So I look at it, the value of if he's doing well and his property is great and he could do it any better than anyone else, then fine. But did he know if he paid over that price of what it's actually valued at?
Yeah, makes sense.
I generally try and get my fee. So my clients are making money from day one and my fee is free. Doesn't always happen, but that is my aim.
I love that.
If you don't see the value, you're not going to do it. But also, a lot of people will go to Kmart, try on a $50 pair of pants 3 times and say, I'm not paying that much, but you'll go into a beautifully displayed home and spend $100,000 too much.
Love that answer. Extremely true. We do agonise more over clothes than we do property.
So we take out the emotion, I guess.
Nice. This next one says, buyer's agents are just middlemen. They don't do anything I can't do myself. That came from Property Chat.
Property Chat. Okay, well, sure.
It's bullshit.
I mean, there's no BS there. But look, yeah, if you can do all that sort of stuff, I guess there's no need for us. We spend a lot of time researching markets and we use data platforms and we pay for them and we read them. If you can spend as much time as we do reading graphs and learning about days on markets and affordability scores, then yeah, for sure, we don't need us.
I think if you're someone who works in particular or has never been in the property game, don't attempt it. It's not like buying a pair of pants.
That's right.
It's a property, it's an asset. And if you buy the wrong asset, it can literally make or break your strategy for years to come on what you do next with your money.
I mean, it's like my nursing. I'm learning every day.
Yeah.
And the markets change all the time. You've got governments bringing in first home buyers grants.
Yeah.
All the time. You've got new taxes coming in all the time, like land tax. Apparently it's a temporary tax.
Yep.
But we've got a new tax that's coming into Victoria and it's the 1st of July coming up.
Yep.
There's another new heaps of first home buyers grants. So keep up with that and go with it, mate.
Love it. This next one is from the Property Chat forum and it says, buyer's agents are usually only used by those searching for high-end properties. At the end of the day, the highest offer gets the house. So I'm wondering if it's even worth it. This sounds like someone who's probably a bit unsure. They've heard all the stories. And this is a common misconception, actually.
Yeah. My, look, one of the first properties I bought was $119,000.
Oh, wow.
In Warree.
I wish.
It was a studio.
Yeah.
And, if that's the case, then I don't think I'd be buying property for that value. But it's, as I said before, it's about the terms and conditions.
Yeah.
It's not always about the price.
And it's the investment of paying for that buyer's advocate, right? It goes back to that, what you said, the value. It's like if you value your time and you value expertise and buying the right asset and having a good strategy, then you'll value that service from someone like yourself.
I love it when people say, I know the market.
Oh, yes.
That's my favourite line.
Do I get you to open up about why?
Because generally this is going to sound really rude.
No.
They don't know the market.
No, but no one that's not in it.
You can't know every market. You need to research that market before you know the market. So, yeah, look, just get advice. One of my biggest things is I call it the barbecue talk.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. The bar talk. So you're around a heap of mates and every time it's guaranteed you go to a party, it's always going to end up on property, right?
Yep.
And then you've got Joe Blow who's never bought a property. And then you've got old mate who's bought, a couple in Tasmania. But you're asking that question, what should I do in Cairns? Well, the experts are all around you, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
So that's where it becomes dangerous. And that's where you're going to make a bad decision.
Mm.
You'll get advice from people that don't actually know, whereas you engage a buyer's agent that does know that area or that region or who has bought properties in that area before. They're the expert. You're going to pay for that, but it's worth the value.
100%. And I think the risk at the, uncle at a barbecue scenario is always that the uncle did that like 15 years ago or 10 years ago. And the market was so different.
Yeah.
It's like, that's great that you saw value back then and it's paying off now, but that doesn't mean that I should go and buy in that exact same suburb with the same asset type.
I bought in Adelaide, over 10 years ago for 250,000.
Wow.
And that was house and land.
Yeah, there's a lot of developments, I think, back then.
I don't know where I could buy that now.
Yeah, no.
Like in Adelaide.
Forget Melbourne. I think we bought our block of land 5 years ago for 310,000.
Yeah.
Just a block of land. It wasn't even big. It was 400 metres squared. Like, oh my God. Oh, interesting. Now, I like this next one. So that makes sense, that answer to that question. This next one is a buyer's agent worth it for a first home purchase, especially if it might turn into an investment later or sell in 5 to 10 years? That one came from Reddit.
Great. I love first home buyers. And I think because I love it because I can help educate them on it.
Yeah. Teaching moment.
It's and a lot of mortgage brokers I speak to, they're the same. Like they just want to be able to teach them the process of how it works and making that right choice, because making that first property choice, the right one, can set you up for life.
Yeah, 100%.
Whether you don't buy another investment property or anything like that, you're still going to make that right choice at the start and give it to the experts that can. And you don't have to be in your 20s to be a first home buyer.
No.
I bought for first home buyers in their 50s and 60s.
Yep.
Like, just because you're a first home buyer doesn't mean you're young, but it can set you up. And I really enjoy working with first home buyers, and I will give them more advice.
More guidance.
Because I can, and I like to. No, I don't want to see anyone fail.
Yeah, no.
I'm working for you, not for anyone else. You're my client, and I want you to succeed.
I love that. And I think that's going to resonate with a lot of the guys tuning in today who have questioned, should I go down this path? It's my first home. And usually they rely on mum and dad, uncle at the barbecue, auntie at the barbecue. And in this case, like it's really awesome to know that someone like you can actually just guide them. And that's exactly what you're there for.
It's hard out there.
Oh,
it's not an easy market.
No, not
if you're buying in Melbourne now, or whether you're buying in Cairns or anywhere, it's hard.
Yeah.
You're up against a lot of competition. So have someone on your side, especially if you're a first home buyer.
Yeah, I agree. This is so awesome. I want to bring it back, to the real world because, you've worked with clients at different stages of the journey and you've shared some really good, stories. But there was can you share an example where strategy really paid off? Like, is there another example you have of one of your clients? Because there was a recent success story that you told me about in our pre-interview. And you mentioned to me that it was just a really feel-good story. Like it had been a bit of a trial and error process for them in the market.
This was actually.
Because you didn't end up telling me the details. You're like, I'll tell you on the air.
I think that was this couple.
Oh, okay, cool. So you've covered it.
There's the ones I just bought for yesterday actually, but I can talk because this is the second property I've purchased off them.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like in a couple of weeks.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I can do.
Up to you. Because I think if you talked about the Toowoomba couple, that's all I wanted to make sure I got in there.
Okay, cool. Yeah. But the success story, they're all successful.
Yeah, that's right. It's like, I can't recall. There's too many to count.
Yeah. Can you remember any of the other details in the
That's the only one that you kind of mentioned that you wanted to tell me about. So I'm glad we covered the Toowoomba one.
Yeah, because it was more about the strategy and they wanted to buy, should I be buying this one? But I got them and then 13,000 under the value of the property buy off market.
So maybe I'll start that next part a bit different and go, I want to revisit the Toowoomba couple. Yeah, cool. And I'll just say, because you mentioned there was quite a significant savings. Can you share any details on how that happened? Yeah, are you happy for me to try that? All right. Yeah, I was like, all right, we'll figure this out. All right.
Can I grab some more water?
Yeah, I've got to do that too. Yes, please.
My voice, when I'm in these rooms, my voice changes.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like I'm really deep.
That's interesting.
It sounds all right.
Does it?
It's just sort of a lower tone. It's a different tone.
It's probably the
Mine is as well.
Yeah, it's different because even I'm hearing it through the headphones and it sounds amazing. Like the sound quality in here is, I'm very surprised because this is the first time I'm using this particular studio. Normally we're in South Melbourne and that's a great studio.
Yeah.
I find the sound quality here better.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, righto, I like this.
Yeah.
So because you sound really clear, you don't sound too deep.
Okay. Oh, that's good. It's your own perception.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like what you were just saying is a really good one because I videoed Cam when he did a video tour yesterday.
That different couple, but yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, different couple.
Because she was so excited. She was screaming over the phone. She was going, oh, Cameron, thank you so much. And it was just amazing to hear. And
Yeah.
that was a really...
Actually get him on camera for your socials and just have that little casual tip.
Got it. I've got the filming. He filmed a video of me doing this.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So...
That's good because you're there for support too, right? Like it,
Yeah, so I love property as well. I've sort of followed it.
Thanks.
Yeah, got a few investments myself and portfolio sort of thing. So yeah, I'm proud of Cam. What he's doing. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Little brother.
Yeah, it looks up to you. But it's good to like have both of you. Yeah. Oh, what a smart ass.
It bounced a few ideas off on me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's cool when it's a family affair, right? Because, you know, you both know each other on such a deeper level. So when you have that conversation about like investments and like what you buy or sharing success, it's such a different conversation. And it's like so much more honest, like something you're never going to have with someone else.
He knows all my signs. Always on the phone. Hey, man, I just got this.
Yeah, he's probably asking for updates. All right, we'll bring it back, but I like this. So, you know, you mentioned earlier, Cam, I want to bring it back to the Toowoomba couple that you spoke about because there was, when we did the pre-podcast interview, there was quite a significant cost saving that you had for them. I want you to share, if you can. Yeah, what was that saving you got them and what was the strategy that kind of like got them to this place and how'd you do it?
Well, as I said before, like it was about where we're buying.
Yeah. And
I was pretty stuck on Toowoomba for everything. And, you know, they were looking at the property and they were like, well, we can get you this. And we made a really good rapport. Mm-hmm. When I say we, I've got a sourcer that we work with. So he built a really good rapport with the real estate agent. And he knew that we had missed out on the first one, like many of others. You know, there was 44 offers in that other property that we missed out on.
Jesus.
And we sat down with him and spoke to him about our particular clients, what they were looking for, and laid it out. And he was able to give us an off market.
Yeah, right.
So that was the bonus of having a buyer's agent for my client. And, you know, we acted quickly.
Yeah.
We didn't want the competition. So he had this property and the actual seller was selling off his investments because he was retiring.
Right.
And so he just wanted the cash essentially
for
his retirement. Which is fair. And so we were able to secure this property after some negotiations. And essentially we were the only bidders. He had put it out to other buyer's agents, but we were the only ones that were acting really quick.
Nice.
And it was a matter of first in, best dressed. So we were like, can you get us a contract? We want the contract, we'll get it sorted. And, you know, he said like 12:30 on Saturday, we were there at 12:30 on Saturday with the contract good to go.
Wow.
We set our offer and it was around $95,000 less from the budget of our client. And then it was, we had got the property evaluated.
Yeah.
And our bid we put in was $13,000 under that evaluation.
Gosh.
So essentially the client had made $13,000 by signing a piece of paper.
All right. Like this is like that. What an incredible story. I'm so glad I asked you about that because 95,000 savings are wow. Number one. Number two, 13,000 on top. Like it is. It's like that's genuine growth straight away just for signing a contract. So kudos to you for guiding them through that strategy because it probably could have turned out very different had they have led the charge themselves.
Yeah. You know, we're looking at 18% growth.
Yeah. 18.
We're looking at a 5.7% rental yield.
Yep.
So
love that.
I'm hoping that in 12 months time the equity's been grown and they come back and say, Cam, where are we buying next?
Yeah, because now they got some equity to play with for their next one.
And then we can grow that portfolio. And that's what I want my clients to be able to grow.
That's awesome. I love that. And there's so many perks. I've really enjoyed this discussion with you, Cam. You know, I know we're coming to the end, but my last question before you go, I had to scroll through your Google reviews and honestly, out of so many people I've spoken to, they spoke volumes to me. And I want to read a couple of like little notes that people have said about you. Cameron was professional, friendly and easy to talk to. Another one said he helped us find the right investment and kept us updated throughout. And he really listened to what we wanted. Would definitely recommend him again. I love that. Like, well done on creating a great service with the Way Property and like what you do as an advocate. I think it speaks volumes, like even these tidbits that you talked about, like just off air before. Your brother mentioned to us, he's in the room and he's been supporting you all the way. And he was saying the conversation that, the phone call you got to make yesterday on that FaceTime, he was there to hear it, and just what a thrill to be part of that kind of journey and see your support. So I just want to say well done. There's some great reviews.
That's a reward. That's the reward for me, is that making people happy. And, I enjoyed that and got to see that lots in my nursing career. But,
yeah,
this is
different
kind of happiness and rewarding.
No, good on you. And for anyone listening right now thinking, okay, that's it, I need this kind of support today, you can actually find Cameron's details in our episode description against here in Spotify or wherever you get your podcast to connect with him directly. My final question to you, Cam, is if someone wants to buy in Cairns or just needs guidance, what's the best next step to take with you? Where can they go?
Well, you can look up my website at thewaypi.com, and you can book in a intro call there, and we'll have that 15 minutes chat to qualify you, and then we can get the ball rolling from there.
Amazing. So you heard it, guys. Thank you, Cam, for being on the show today, and I loved having this chat with you.
Thank you, Joe. I've had a ball. My next investment isn't going to be a property, it's going to be a jacket.
It's going to be a jacket. Yeah, because we're going to do this a lot more. Then my next investment will be a pair of shorts and thongs. For anyone thinking about buying in Cairns or just wanting to start your portfolio that's backed by data, not guesswork, check out the Way Property Investments. All the links are in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode, hit follow, share it with someone scrolling through listings right now, and we'll catch you next time on the No BS Real Estate Podcasts. We can't wait to have you back, and thank you again, Cam, for being here. See you later, guys. That's a wrap for this episode of the No BS Real Estate Podcast, powered by Abodey AI. If you found this conversation helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might need it. If you're looking for more guidance on your home buying journey, you can visit www.abodey.com.au for expert advice, property insights, and the tools you need to find the right home with confidence. If you're already on your journey, you can also download our app. Just search Abodey AI on the App Store or Google Play. Have any questions or want to connect, you can follow us on Instagram at abodey.com.au or send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.